What's going on? Welcome into My Take Is. Thank you for clicking on the video. Do me a favor and click subscribe as well. The Rams just beat the Bears in overtime, and what was just another very typical Bears game. Felt like they were going to lose, and then they make a push late, and then it goes to overtime, and yeah, just a crazy, crazy game. And Caleb Williams is again the headline, even though the Bears lost. He's cocaine Patrick Mahomes. The highs are incredibly high, but the lows can be pretty low sometimes. You know, like the highs of Patrick Mahomes are obviously high, right? It's winning Super Bowls and doing those things. But the highs with Caleb Williams are like smoking a joint with Snoop Dogg on the top of Mount Everest. I mean, just high in every sense of the word. You know, where he runs 25 yards in the wrong direction on 4th and 4 with the season on the line, then throws a fadeaway 45-yard perfection of a pass to Cole Kmet in the end zone to tie the game and ultimately send it to overtime. And then on the flip side, you know, the lows with Patrick Mahomes really aren't that low. It's losing in the AFC Championship game. With Caleb Williams, it's like waking up on a street corner every day. You know, it's him throwing his third interception of the game in overtime after the Bears had been moving the ball and were about to be in field goal range. And that third interception, I don't even know who he was throwing it to. I guess he was throwing it to DJ Moore. It certainly didn't feel like it. And then Cam Curl made a great play, you know, diving interception to take the ball away. And so you had that interception. I thought Caleb Williams' first interception wasn't like, it was just bad. It just was, you know, it's 4th and 2, and I usually don't mind interceptions on 4th down, but on this one, player was open and he sailed it. He missed high, you know, Kobe Durant standing there, and he picks it off at the goal line. And I didn't mind that interception because interceptions on 4th down just don't bother me. But interceptions this year have not been an issue for Caleb Williams, really through his first 2 years. So I am surprised that he threw 3 tonight. But the first interception that he threw and the third interception that he threw were both results of the biggest problems that we've seen from him in a very short amount of time that he's been in the NFL. He has too many throws where he's just inaccurate. And I don't know why that is. It could be mechanics. You know, it's windy in Chicago. You know, could his balls just be carrying a little bit further? Sometimes it looks like he's overthrowing, and usually when you overthrow, you sail it a little bit. I don't know. But it's something that he's going to have to fix this offseason. And then, you know, the second interception he threw in the fourth quarter wasn't great. Durant peeled off of Loveland and just undercut the route. I thought that was more of a good play from Durant, and Caleb Williams just didn't see him. Luckily, the Bears forced a 3-and-out, and that interception didn't really matter all that much. And what has to be frustrating for the Bears is their defense played as well as you could ask them to. They got to Stafford by blitzing. They didn't have to rely on turnovers to get stops. Matthew Stafford really struggled, you know, completed less than half of his passes. He was 20 of 42. That's a testament to this Bears defense. And I've noticed this a little bit. I don't know if I've seen it enough to say that this is just a fact. But I do think that some of these great offensive-minded coaches like Sean McVay get a little too infatuated with their quarterbacks when they have a great one. I thought the Rams ran the football really well in the we're trying to work the clock situations, and they got away from it. Kyron Williams was averaging over 4 yards per carry. Blake Corum had a few good carries, and then he didn't touch the ball again for a long while. And despite Matthew Stafford not having a good day, again, completing less than half of his passes, they only handed the football off 27 times, and they threw it 42 times. Like, obviously, it didn't matter because they won. It's just an observation. I would have liked to have seen Sean McVay run the football a little bit more than what he did tonight. But that being said, it's Matthew Stafford, and he's Sean McVay. So what am I talking about? I don't know. But there is something else that I've noticed, and I thought we saw it quite a bit from Ben Johnson tonight. The best coaches in the sport all have this one thing in common, and you would think that every coach in the sport has this, but they don't. It's called common sense. Like, there are certain things that Ben Johnson does that just make sense. For example, tonight, they had to play Joe Thuney, an outstanding offensive guard. They had to play him at left tackle, which is tough for him, right? He's very capable. He's very capable of doing that. We saw him do it with the Chiefs last year in the postseason. But still, like, he is a guard by trade. So what did Ben Johnson do? On every obvious passing down, the Bears took Cole Kmet, their best blocking tight end, great tight end in general, but a better blocker than Loveland, and they lined him up outside of Joe Thuney to help block whichever edge rusher, usually Jared Verse, that was lined up across from Thuney. And it usually worked. Caleb Williams wasn't sacked once tonight. Part of that was his elusiveness. The other part of that was that little adjustment from Ben Johnson to consistently get Thuney help against what is one of the better front fours in the NFL. Okay, I thought Ben Johnson called a really good game. The Bears played well. They just had two things that ruined them. Caleb Williams threw 3 interceptions, and they were 3 for 6 on 4th downs. Look, if they kick 3 field goals, like, that's quite possibly 9 points. You can't chalk it up because, maybe the guy misses, whatever. I like the aggressiveness, but sometimes taking the points is nice, especially on a night where your defense is clearly dialed in and playing at a high level like the Bears' defense was tonight. But ultimately, if you turn it over twice on downs and your quarterback throws 3 interceptions, and I do mean twice on downs because one of the interceptions came on 4th down, it's hard to beat teams as good as the Rams, who didn't turn the ball over once and were 1 for 1 on their 4th down conversions. Like, the Bears had more total yards. They were better on 3rd down. But turnovers and a lack of converting on 4th downs, like, that decides a lot of football games, and that's what decided this one tonight.